Hey everyone, Andrew Stormer here, and today we're talking gear, and specifically, what's in my camera bag in 2019, at least the start of 2019. Who knows, stuff changes all the time. Over here, we have 30-40 pound backpack right here. It's actually, I'm not kidding, it's probably a good 30 pound backpack. This is my camera bag here, and I have a tripod here, so yes, look, it's in here, but I just recently switched to this tripod because my other one broke. So it's just a random tripod. It's garage sale tripod like all my others. They work. If you can get a fluid head that has a quick release plate and stuff, it's only like $5-10. I mean, that's pretty good if you ask me. You're not spending $200, but usually not going to be carrying that because that's a good 5-10 pounds in itself right there. This is my bag right here. I looked it up on Amazon the other day and it doesn't look like it exists anymore. But doesn't matter because I like to get a new one, and it's not the most optimal for all my stuff in here, but you use what you have. We have this front pocket in here, which we can zip it open, zip, and in here, in this little pocket here, you have lots of holders and stuff in here that you can't really see because it's heavy and it's whatever, but I don't really use them. I have good old power squid right here, so instead of like a regular power strip that, you know, you have those big fat plugs that kind of block each other, so then you're missing them. But with this thing, it bends, so you can have everything plug in to just 3 ports, and they do make a 5-port one, but I've never used more than 3 so far, so this has worked great. And if you're limited on plugs in the wall at like a hotel room or something, this only takes up 1, so that's pretty cool. And I have this really cool strap thing, which comes with bags that I'll show you in just a second. We have here Prism, which this I haven't used a ton, but ta-da, you take it out and hold it up to the lens like this, and it makes weird things like this. Whoa, there's 2 of me, what? Yeah, so that you can get some cool effects with, and it's really good for night shooting or low light. This bag right here, it's a think tank bag. These things are amazing. I use them all the time. I have 2 of them, and I can see uses for having a lot more than just 2. We open it up, and we have, right on top, lights. So these ones I actually haven't used hardly at all yet, but I plan to use it more for some low light stuff. We have a little squish thing, squish, squish, squish. It cleans your lenses. It smells really weird, and you can just blow your hair around. You can clean your lenses with this, and then you can clean your sensor and your camera with it. You stick your camera upside down and you blow inside of it, and it blows all the dust off. But if you want a different option for cleaning your lenses, they make these lens cleaner pens. It's obviously going to be a lot smaller than this fat rocket ship looking thing. Always got to have your lens cleaner and a cloth in here, and I have a mini roll of gaff tape because you always need tape on sets and stuff. You always need to jerry rig some stuff, and tape is pretty cool, and gaff tape is not as sticky as duct tape. Here's another prism, which, yes, the end is broken, and I did not break it. It came broken, and it's stupid, but whatever, it still works because you're not going to end up using the end there, you're going to use this part. So once again, it can mess with everything. You're like in Doctor Strangeland or something. Batteries in this one, because mic battery if you need it, double A's for stuff, because everyone always needs batteries. And then more of these cable ties, which is super cool because you just slip in your cables and then and it's done. And they're pretty cool. And these, I think 3 of these come with each of these bags here. And the other bag here, this is my battery bag here. So if we zip it open, we have charger number 1, charger number 2, which both of these are dual chargers. And we have batteries and more batteries. And we have a USB to wall plug right here. And then we have a dual USB to car charger, and then we just have a billion of these cables that actually plug into the battery chargers. And what's weird about these chargers is that the ends are actually USB, so that's why we have these ones, the USB, because you have to have USBs to plug into the wall or the car or anything. The last thing I have in here is this cool little 10,000 milliamp battery backup thingy, which has a solar panel so it can recharge. It has a bunch of USB ports right there so I can charge my camera, and this is like, I don't know, 4 days worth of filming or something worth of battery. You also have a compass there. On this side you have flashlights, so it's like the ultimate survival tool. Like if you don't have a car, you're not in a hotel, you're camping in the middle of the wilderness off the grid, this is first going to be your survival tool, and second, you can film for like a week maybe. So that's pretty cool, and it's just this big. Like you can shove it in your pocket, you can clip it on your backpack. Like it's awesome. And then just cables, lots and lots of cables in there. So, and I did keep the little water absorbing packs in there just because if anything happens to get wet in the future using it, all your gear isn't ruined. Zip it up, throw these back in the front pocket. These from back in the front pocket, zip it up, and then on to the back. So the back here, it actually has straps for the bottom, so like around your stomach here. It can actually take some of the weight down here and not on your shoulders up here, which that's pretty cool. And then they also had one for about chest level here with this one, but I don't know where my other clip went on this strap, so it doesn't work anymore, but that's fine. So we can get this and unzip it. First sleeve here, you have a laptop sleeve here, and then this worthless section here that you can unzip and find all the camera stuff. Dun dun dun. First thing on top, GorillaPod. Always need that. It bends around anything. It's your perfect vlogging tool. It's your go-to stabilizer a lot of the time. The glide cam here in the bottom here, you see it goes the whole stretch of the bag, and that is actually upside down. You hold it out and it's a stabilizer for moving shots, and it's a fine stabilizer. I'd like to upgrade to gimbal in the future, but whatever, my bag is falling apart. Just try and get out of here. It's a fine stabilizer, but with wind and stuff, it's not great, and whatever, it can ruin some shots, but it is better than handheld most of the time, and it was my starting stabilizer. And then on this side here, we have all the lenses. We have the good old 18 to 55, which this one is actually not the T7i kit lens. I keep that one stored away just in case this one breaks, but this one is actually a faster aperture than the other one. If you can see that it says 3.5 on there, when the other one I think starts at f4. So this one actually is a slightly better in low light. The 10 to 18 just recently got this lens, and that's way wider, and it's awesome. One problem I found with the ND filter, which I'll get to in a minute, is there's vignetting on it, but it's really good lens. With the crop factor, the T7i 18 is like almost a 28 millimeter, and that's where it's not quite wide enough, but a 10 millimeter with the crop factor makes it about a 16 mil. Nifty 50, 50 mil, and this thing goes down to 1.8. This is actually the old crappier version where focus rings, little bit garbage and plastic backs and everything. It's whatever, but you can throw this thing around. You can, I've dropped this thing out of cars before and it's fine. It has a bunch of scratches on it, whatever. Still works perfectly fine. The autofocus on this one, the older one, isn't really that good. It's my fastest lens. It's 1.8. It's only like $100, and this was actually the first lens I got. I didn't even have the 18-55 when I started using DSLRs, which my first one was a T2i, which I still use as a second camera, but I don't use a second camera that often, so it doesn't stay in my bag. Nifty 50, it's awesome, and it's so tiny and lightweight. It's awesome, and it's not adding anything to your bag. And then the last lens I have here is the 55-250, which with the crop factor of 1.6 turns 250 millimeters into the equivalent of 400 millimeters. So 55, 250, this thing's a huge lens, but you never know when you need to get some super close-up shot of something really far away, and everyone needs to carry a telephoto on them. Other thing, I have a lens hood which fits on the 55-250 and the 18-55. The only time I end up using a lens hood is for long exposures to not let light bleed in from the sides. Every other time I just leave lens hoods off. For long exposure, night photography stuff. Way down here in the bottom of the bag, we have a camera strap, because you never know when you need to get a shot outside of a moving car, hanging outside the window, whatever, and you don't want to drop your camera at 70 miles an hour. Other thing here, we have SD reader. It's super hard. You could probably run this thing over with a car. Don't do that. You could chuck this thing across the room and everything inside would be fine. And I have all my cards here. There's my primary SD card. This is actually the second one I have. I have two 64 gigs. The other one's in the T7i right now. And then I have 5 micro SDs. And so I have 3 32 gigs. The one that's in this camera right now. And then another 64 gig. And then I have the adapters, so even if I ran out of these two 64 gigs, I can still throw a micro in an adapter into one of my cameras, or if I'm using this camera, I can just slap one of the micros in there. And yeah, so that's pretty cool, and you're never gonna lose your SD cards, because I've had that happen before. I don't know where I put my SD cards, and then I start looking for them when I need a different one, and never know. But now it's always here, and that just slips right in there. Very nice. Screwdriver. This thing looks like absolute trash, but sometimes you need a screwdriver for quick release plates, which, speaking of quick release plate, I have the tripod quick release plate and the glide cam quick release right here, and those just slip into this tiny little hole right here, right there. And here's the main camera, the T7i, and you're like, what's this thing on the bottom here? This is a battery grip. So you know how you usually have to put the batteries in the bottom here and all that stuff, and then if you have like a plate on, then you have to take it off the stabilizer and unscrew it, and then switch out the batteries, and you have to do it all the time. This thing, it's just on the side here. You flip this around, you have 2 batteries, so you're not going to switch that often, and it's from the side, so you don't have to even take it off the plate, or even the stabilizer for that matter. My old camera, the T2i, didn't have a flip out LCD screen. They started that with the T3i, but the T7i has a flip out LCD screen, so that's perfect for vlogging. You can actually see yourself if the camera is actually having you in focus. And this thing, 1080 at 60 frames, which that 60 frames is amazing. You can do slow-mo, or you can have 60 frame video. It also has a really nice autofocus for video. This thing, I love it, and I can't recommend it enough. And I'm definitely gonna do a bigger review on this camera in the future. That's up here, and then down here we have Rode mic. It's the older one with the stupid mount, which is fine, but whatever. It's fine, it's a good mic. And then the last thing way down here, we have a filter pouch. Filter pouch, open it up. ND filter, which is now my go-to filter for everything because you can use your lowest aperture in any setting. And my old go-to filter was a polarizer, which this cuts out reflections and such. If I just look through it with one eye, I can actually see the screen of this camera go completely dark. This thing, it cuts out reflections and makes your skies bluer, your water look nicer, all that stuff, and that just slips in there. And then I have good old step-up rings, which actually the other ones are back here because you can't fit all of them in here, but I have all those in the filter pouch here, and that's so I can use the ND filter on any of my lenses. If you want to save money by not buying a filter for every single one of your lenses, just get one big filter and get step-up rings, and then you can just use it on all your lenses, and that's awesome. And then you can just Velcro it up, and that's it in my camera bag. Probably the biggest change from last year to this year is I used to carry a light in this bag, and it came in a case like this big or something. It was pretty big light. It was a nice thing to have, but now with the new lenses, I had to reorganize my bag and everything, and it just wouldn't fit. It's not in here anymore, but if I do think I need a light, I can just snap it on the side of the bag right here, and off we go. I do recommend an aperture light instead of the one that I got, because the one I got broke within a few minutes of me opening it, where the battery goes in, so the battery falls out all the time. I have gaff tape on there to hold the battery in the whole time, so it doesn't just cut out randomly. But I recommend a aperture light. It's like that big, and there's not really anything else that comes with it, so you can just throw it in your bag, and it's super tiny, and so it's not some big case thing that you have to find a place to fit it in, and that's just more weight, and that just hurts your back. The biggest thing I want to change next is the bag itself, because I like to be organized, and this bag is not what I need. Stuff is like sticking out higher. Some of it's because of the battery grip that makes it a full height camera, not like just a normal size camera. So they do make bags for taller cameras like that. And then I have all the stuff in the front that sticks way out. Links to almost everything in the description. I'll drop a link to my kit website, which that has also most of this stuff in there, and that has all the Amazon links, so you can go buy stuff. I have started an Amazon affiliate link. If you do buy anything that I've mentioned in here, please use my link instead of just looking it up, because then I can first get approved to become an Amazon affiliate, associate, whatever they call it, and then eventually start making just a tiny bit of money from that, so then I can make more content for you guys and get more equipment to show off and all that fun stuff. Even if it's just the $5 little roll of gaff tape. That's gonna do it for this one, and I hope to do a lot more vlog and camera and tutorial and all that fun stuff soon in the future. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.